In this lesson, we're going to finish up the frame. Alright, so we've got most of our low resolution geometry for the frame and the handle. And now we just need to finish up this final detail here. The way I'm going to go about this is I'm going to go ahead and bring up these polygons here across the top, and I'm going to start lining them up with the top of this here. So to do this, let's go ahead and go to vertex mode or something like that, and then we'll go ahead and go to our left view. We want to make sure that this line right here is straight. So select those vertices, and let's go ahead and hit make planar in the X direction. I just want to make sure that those are nice and flat right up against that edge. Then what we'll do is we'll go ahead and go to Extend under PolyDraw Extend, and then we're going to go ahead and hold Shift, and we'll bring up those edges. Now I don't want to hold Shift and Control because it's going to select that entire loop, and I don't want that. So let's just select this first one. Hold Shift, drag that up, and then Control Alt Shift, and let's just pull these points around here and just get those lined up there. And then what you can do is you can just hold down Shift on the one opposite of that. Now you'll notice that it's pulling that polygon to this surface here. So the camera is just not quite lined up right. So let's kind of move off to the side here, Control Alt Shift to just pull that around. And then Alt Control, left click and drag across that. Come to this side over here, let's do the same thing. Now for this one, let's do something a little bit different. Let's hold down Alt and then drag that up, and then Control Alt Shift on that vertex, and let's pull that down over here. Okay, so you may have to make some adjustments to your vertices. First of all, let's take this vertex and let's set its X value to 0, so that way we know it's perfectly in line with that center line there. And then these could be okay right where they're at, so we don't really have to worry about those. We'll straighten those up if we need to. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Edge mode, or actually let's go to Extend on that again. And then what we'll do is we'll hold down Control Shift, and then we'll drag this edge out here. Now you'll notice that one of those vertices is trying to snap to this surface, and I don't want that. Let me back up and away just a little bit and try it again. Now pull it out as far as you can, and then Control Alt Shift and just drag those points out to the edge here. Now it may help if you come in and you take all those vertices and you straighten them up and position those accordingly. That might help a little bit too. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and go to polygon mode. I'm going to select those 4 polygons across the top, and let's go ahead and make planar on those in let's say the Y direction, so that way it kind of flattens them out, and it kind of helps out with that edge too. And then I'm just going to go to Edge mode, select these outside edges and push those straight down, and take this edge and this edge here and pull those up. Let me try that again. May have to hit F3 to grab those 2 edges. Pull that up in the Z until it comes up to the surface there, and then take this one in the center, pull that up as well. So you should get something that looks kind of like this. And let me pull that over in the X. Pull that down. Do the same thing for this one here. I'm just trying to make sure that they're nice and even there. Okay, so it looks good. Now we need to go ahead and get the sides of this. This one might be a little tricky to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select these edges right in here along the bottom. Because these are so close to that surface, we may not have to really create these edges. I may have to create a triangle right here. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take these 2 edges. I'm going to hold Shift to just drag those out, just like so. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect these edges here. So let's go to Edge mode here and here. Hit F3 just to see which ones those are. You can see that there. And I'm just going to bridge that, and that's going to leave an open triangle right here. Go to border mode, select that, and cap it. Okay, it's okay to have a triangle there, and because we're going to have to do the same thing right here. So here's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to go to Edge mode again. I'm going to select this edge, and I'm going to hold Shift and drag that straight down until it comes to that corner. And then what we can do is we can go ahead and start dragging out the rest of our edges. Let's hold down Shift and just drag this out to the center. And go ahead and type in 0 on your X value. Now I know you can't see that because it's inside the model. Let's pull that down on the Z to right here. And then what we'll do is we'll go to vertex mode and we'll select around those two vertices and weld. Okay, so now that's together. Now what I need to do is I need to go ahead and select these two edges and connect, because I have a segment right here. So let's connect that. Let's hit F3 so we can see it here. And I'm going to pull this down first in the Z. See, you can see that coming out there. And let's go ahead and push it over in the X. Line that up. Back up to just kind of match that a little bit closer. I want it to come as close as possible to that. Alright, then let's go ahead and go to vertex mode, select around those two vertices. Let's make sure it's just two. Actually, let's do target weld instead. It's getting kind of difficult to see that, so let's do target weld. Let's go from the top one down to the bottom there. Okay, not that much of a difference. And let's go to border mode, select that border. Now you'll notice here that it's having a hard time with that. It's going to here and it can't really select that entire border. So that means that we've got a bit of an issue somewhere. We've got some vertices that aren't welded together properly. So let's take a look here. We've got two vertices there. Let's weld that. And I thought we welded that, but I guess we accidentally undid that. So these all look good. Let's try that again. Let's go to border mode, select just that border and cap. So there we have our triangle. And there we go. So we've got this part going here. Now we just needed to get it part of the rest. So let's go ahead and isolate that so we can see exactly what we're working with here. And we can start to bring all of that together. In order to bring this together properly, we're going to need to connect to this edge here. Let's take a look at our view from that side and just see what kind of issues we're going to be dealing with. We've got a little bit of a lip here, more than what we had on the other side. And so we want to bring all of that together. So I'm going to go to edge mode. I'm going to take this edge. I'm going to hold shift and drag that out in the X. Okay. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and take this edge. Actually, let's do this. Let's bring both of those edges out at the same time. Control Shift X, or Shift, and then move that out. Excuse me. Right click and go to vertex mode, and target weld. Make that a triangle there, so that way it matches up with that corner. Then we'll take this vertex here and we'll just pull that closer to that corner there, just like so. Perfect. And then we'll pull this in a little bit. I just want to make sure that that matches up with that edge. Okay. Alright, now let's go to edge mode, hitting 2 on the keyboard. Select this edge and this one, and we'll simply bridge. And then we're going to take this edge and this edge. Actually, let's take all of these across the bottom. Hold shift, drag those out. And you'll notice here right along the bottom, we want those vertices to match up fairly close. So select both of those and weld. Okay, that's all welded there. Make sure its X value is set to 0. It is. And there we go. So now we've got these polygons set for this detail. Now let's go ahead and isolate this so we can get the rest of it connected. Let's go ahead and go to edge mode here. Let's connect that, so bridge it. And starting to get a little bit close into these details, so it might be a little hard to orbit around. So make sure you have something selected and frame in on that. That'll make it easier. Select these two edges and let's bridge those. But you'll notice it won't bridge. Why? Well, we have these polygons on the back side that are covering that up. So let's go ahead and go to polygon mode. Take these polygons here on the inside of that curve because they are no longer needed. They shouldn't be there anyway. So we need to delete those because it's going to connect to this other detail piece here. So let's go back to this back side. Let's go to edge mode, select those edges, hit Z on the keyboard so you can frame in on that. And then we're going to simply bridge that together with a single segment. Okay, that looks good. And let's go around the loop here and try to get this all connected together. Now we're going to have a couple of edges that really aren't going to go together all that well, so we'll have to manage this. So we're going to have these edges right here. Let's go ahead and bridge that. And then let's take this edge and bridge that. We're going to have a triangle there. That's okay. And we'll take this edge, and we'll bridge that. Okay, perfect. Let's go ahead and continue on the other side, do the same thing. And we'll take this edge and this edge, bridge. And then we're going to have this little tiny edge right here. We can try to bridge that to here, but that's not going to work. Let's just do these two edges, and then we'll make a triangle there. So let's go to border mode. Let's take care of those. So we'll just simply cap, and we'll cap that. Okay, so that's all together. And then we have the final bit here where we have this open hole in place. Now this is a little tricky because if we go to border mode, you can see that we select that entire border, and it looks pretty good, but you'll notice that this little piece here is not connecting to this, and that's not absolutely necessary. Okay, so we want to figure out how we can bring these two pieces together. May have to go inside the model, just kind of take a look here. So we could go ahead and take this vertex and weld it down to here. So if I weld that to here, you're going to notice that it kind of tapers off that top edge. And if we take a look at our high poly model, we're no longer able to support that geometry that's there. So there's a problem. We need to make sure that we keep that. And so instead, what we'll do is we'll go to edge mode. And we want this edge to somehow connect to that edge. But you'll see that that's so large. How do we get that to connect together? Well, what we'll do is we'll go ahead and we'll stop the lesson here, because this is a special case where we need to figure this out. We need to kind of take a step back for a moment, reassess the problem that we have, and try to get all of this together properly. So we'll go ahead and we'll tackle that next.